All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Stock Analysis Friday on this August 8th, 2025. Great to have everybody here. All right, I'm going to go run through a few administrational items, and we're going to jump into the content today, which, of course, is looking up stocks for you or ETFs. And as usual, put in about 3 at a time, okay? And tell me if you're long, short, maybe you might be up a certain percentage, whatever. And I'll give you a detailed analysis on what I think the best options are for you at this time. I'm also going to cover the markets just a teeny bit in the beginning. I don't want to take too much time with that. I have a complete service for that called the Market Opportunity Report. And there'll be a link down below, and I'll try to put a link here in the comments area in just a moment. But that is available. We've got that specially priced this week for everybody, and it's a good way to support the channel, so keep that in mind as well, and you get some good information. It also has stock opportunities too, which basically are stock picks. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me just bring up here some of the administrational items, and we'll get going here. Let me put that link in here before I forget to do that, and this link is for the Market Opportunity Report, and this gives you the best price. Okay, also we discounted that for our viewers. All right, hope everybody's doing well out there. Let me know. Hopefully you can hear me okay. We should have good audio, so everything should be good. And good morning to everybody. All right, so let me go through the administrational items here real quick. First thing I have to go over, of course, are the risks involved in trading. Like I always say, without that risk, there is no opportunity. That's my famous line. But in any case, you have to realize there are risks, but in life, everything is a risk. All right. It's just the way it works, but you have to control your risk or at least realize what it is. It's when you don't realize what your risk is that you're usually have a problem in the markets. It's kind of like when you play poker. If you don't know who the Ponzi is, you are it. All right. Same thing with the markets. So keep that in mind. Also to realize that the markets are basically all about probabilities, okay, not certainties. So even if a setup or a trade looks really good, you still have to keep in mind the risk control aspect of it. Always trade with money you can afford to risk. I think that's pretty obvious. And then calculate your trade size based on where you want to put your stop and your account size and the amount of risk you want to take. Let's see, anything I left out there? I guess contact your financial advisor before you actually take any recommendations we suggest here, just to make sure they're suitable for you, simply because I don't know your personal situation. All right, a couple books on risk control I really recommend for everybody, whether you're new or been in the business a while and want to kind of tweak that up a little bit. And that's the Trader's Money Management System, published by Wiley, and then my other book on money management for traders. Basically, the money management for traders on the far right is kind of a cliff notes of money management. So it's something we put together that covers the essentials, and it's not a big read. Now, if you want a big read, I've got the Art of Trading second edition. That's out there, and that's 608 pages. That'll keep you busy for a while. But that book there came out this year, so it's brand new, contains the latest market information, and that was also published by Wiley for me. And then Elliott Wave Technique Simplified was published by McGraw-Hill, a different publisher. And that is on a form of technical analysis as well. And Survival Guide for Traders is out as well, published by Wiley. So you can check those out. I'll put a link down below in the recording for those, okay? So you can check them out later. All right, Art Software is the software we use. When I look at charts today, you're going to see some indicators on the charts that you may not be familiar with. However, that is software that we created and actually sell here at traderscoach.com. And that is basically charting software, scanners, and risk control software. So that's available for you. And again, I'll put a link below. And then finally, show some love for the channel. Give us a little bit of support. Give us a like, and we're good to go. All right, so let me get rid of this here. And I just want to open up with a quick intro into the Dow Jones Industrial Average here to kind of get an idea of what's going on. Now, I mentioned the MOR report earlier. So the MOR report covers the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, Bitcoin, the cryptos in general, and then gives you detailed stock opportunities for the upcoming week. So if you're interested in that, I got the link already in the chat area. Check it out. And that is a good price for those of you today that are here. And another, again, a good way to support the channel as well. All right, so what's going on with the Dow? All right, so we had a move down, and this is the weekly chart over here. And this is the current situation. This is the daily chart on the left. So basically, we're at an area here where we're kind of in a target already, okay? Anywhere in between these blue lines puts us in a long-term and a short-term target. And so we've kind of hit that. We're kind of bouncing off the target a little bit. Could a top be in? Well, anything's possible. It could be, but it's too early to call that yet. It really is more likely that we'll probably drift for a little while. We may come down into this pocket here, all right, which is basically this pocket over here, which is an order block and structure. All right, I'll just put S for structure. All right, so we could come down to there. That's about 42,000. I'm going to say to about 42.8, right around that ballpark there. So that should hold. If it doesn't hold, then I'm going to start getting a little more concerned that we may have a double top over here, okay, and maybe an inverse head and shoulders. And we've seen that before, okay? So there's your head, shoulders, that kind of thing. So we'll see what kind of formulates here. Long-term trend line, we're okay there. We came down to it and bounced back. So now, if we continue up, if it pulls back a little bit, continues up, then at that particular point, we're going to be looking for a serious top. And that's exactly where the MOR report will help you, okay? Because tune in every week. We update everything every week. I do a video like I'm doing now on Sundays, and it will keep you abreast so you don't get caught with a market decline and not be ready for it, that type of thing. It's coming. It's just a matter of when, and that's the whole idea of the MOR report. All right, so with that said, I do want to quickly go over Bitcoin really quick. Again, we're poised to make new highs. Notice how this particular fair value gap here held. All right, we got structure here, okay? So it is possible to always come down to structure, and the fair value gap may or may not stop that, but it looks like it did here. And we're in a long-term fair value gap here. And one of our indicators, this is our what we call PTF. This indicator has a 75% accuracy. I don't think anything in the market's at the 90% accuracy, right? But 75% is great for any type of indicator. It's very simple. When it's green, find the highest price in the green area, and there's a 75% probability we're going higher. So that would put it above here and on its way into the target zone for Bitcoin. So I do expect Bitcoin to move up, and the target on this is 127,000 roughly to 159,000. So we got kind of a range there. And this is going to be another one where when it gets to that top, you're going to want to know if the bull run is over on Bitcoin, because it should end in that target, at least for a couple of years. All right. So you want to kind of stay tuned for that, because when it gets there, this will be some form of a sell zone. Don't just sell when you hit there. You know, we'll help you with the MOR report on when to sell, but that's the idea behind that. All right. So keep that in mind. And that is Bitcoin. All right, enough said. Let's move on here. Al, you are the first man up today. How are you? Okay, so SIR. Let's take a look at this bad boy for you. And provided it loads, right? Okay, so let's see. Long. All right, so not yet. Okay, not yet. All right, big move down. PTFs are all red. Okay, so you don't want to kind of go against those. Plus, when you have a price bar this big on the weekly chart, I mean, check that out. All right, so it's this and this, right? Now, if you're a scalper and you want to take a possibility where you go long here and put your stop under this price bar for today or whatever, and try to get the 50% retracement, which usually happens quite a bit, that's a possibility. All right. The better trade, if this remains red and we move up from here, would probably, this will be a fair value gap at some point. This would be the short, okay? Another short to go down with it. You know, going long right now is a scalper's technique. With the stock going under here after today, I would wait until today's close probably, but and then maybe go on Monday. But again, that's a fairly not a slam dunk. Use a stop because that could be a measuring bar and it could be heading on down even further. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, I get it. All right. So let's see what's going on here. Stewart's guy. Hey, Stewart's from San Diego. That's what the SD stands for. Heat wave. Yeah, well, we have a heat wave in Tucson, Arizona, which is where we are pretty much every day this time of year. All right. So I'm getting kind of used to it. But in any case, not so bad. The key is to have good air conditioning, right? All right. Okay. Gene's chiming in 114. Yeah. We're a little bit in the mountains, so we're about 10 degrees colder than that. All right, Ed, how are you? Okay, Edward's up 6% on a couple of these picks and 8% and a potential buy. Let's take a look at the one you're up here, AUR, and see how that's looking today. All right, so let's see where this baby's going. All right, so what you got for you in a long position here is the green PTF on the actual weekly chart. Check that out. Okay, so you got that. So that's a feather in your cap, so to speak, for a long position. All right, let me just adjust these a little bit so they're kind of even. All right, so you had a reversal bar here on the 1st of August, just a little while ago. You had a pullback here, A, B, C pullback. Let's just see if that was enough to hit the fibs, and it was. Okay, so for right now, Ed, on this one, I would probably hold it with a target of about $10.70, 78 cents to be about exact. Let me just see, $10.77. All right, off by a penny. All right, so that's kind of the target up there. Hopefully we got a bottom in here. Technically here, we haven't had a change in structure yet on the weekly chart. Let's see, we haven't had it on the daily either, but you do have a double bottom, okay? Now, that doesn't mean it can't come back down, take stops out that may be at the double bottom and then go on up from there. That's a possibility. But, you know, this also here is some equity under here. You know, I just kind of try to think, when I look at these things, I try to think like an institution or a market maker. If 97% of the, or 95% of the retail traders are wrong, all right, then chances are this looks like an easy long. So if I was market maker, I'd want to shake those people out, and I would do it at the equity levels because that's where their stops are, right? So keep that in mind, but it should move higher, okay? The question is the equity chasing over or not, or is the pullback over or not? You can never be 100% sure, but we do have a double bottom here. So I would stay with it. And we had a nice reversal bar. So it looks pretty good. I'd like to see this break this high for a change in structure. Okay. We still have lower lows. I mean, if you draw a trend line, look at that. Okay. On the weekly chart. So you still technically have a downtrend, right? So we haven't broken structure yet to really be able to draw any significant uptrend. If we break this high, then, in other words, if we get up here, then you can draw a trend line like that. We can't do that yet from a technical standpoint. Okay, so you know, the PTF's your best friend here. Okay, so I would hang on with that. All right, let's move on here. Okay, your next one is RDW. RDW. And you are thinking about this one for a potential. Let's see what we got cooking here. All right, this one I would not do for a long trade. Reason being is that I think what you're thinking about, kind of like what Al's thinking about on that other one, is when you see a big decline, jump in and buy it. And I get that. But here we got a red PTF. So this move down has a little bit more move to go. So I would hold off on this. Okay, for right now. All right. TNDM. Take a look at that one. and you're up 8%. And your question is, should you add to the position? I love that. Let's see what happens here. No. And the reason I say that right off the bat is because we have a red PTF. Okay. So don't do anything with that. In fact, it probably will go down. I don't know when you got in, but I would kind of think about holding off on that. A couple things on this. One is you've got a bearish fair value gap. You got to get above that, then you can go long. All right. But you got a red PTF, so I don't think the bottom's in. All right. You have really high volume on this, which, usually is a good sign. But at this particular point with that red PTF, you can't do anything with it. Okay. And you do have a bearish gap. So once it fills that gap, it may turn around and head back down. At least that's what the probabilities are saying. All right. So on your next pick on Lilly, LLY, let's check out that bad boy. All right. You're down 15%. Okay. And I guess you got caught in that swift move down, right? All right. So it looks like on the weekly chart, we're heading down into a wave 4. All right. And that doesn't bode well for pharmaceuticals in general. I'd have to look at the sector. But all right. So after wave 4, though, you do have a wave 5. Okay. So if we just draw the fibs here, we're just starting to enter in to the retracement area. It could go as low as 421. All right. I don't know if this is an investment for you or a trade. We have a red PTF now on the daily, very similar to the other one. Here's your bearish gap and a red. I think it's going to go down deeper into that, basically that fib retracement. And so here's what you do. This is for everybody too, just to take note of this. So when you're going into a target area, all right, then the next question is, where do you think it's going to stop? Well, what I do is I look for the order block or some form of structure congestion in that area. And that is here. Okay. So you draw that over like that and that. All right. And that's the first place of stability. All right. After that, guess what we have down here? Fair value gap and more structure. So you got a fair value gap right under this pyramid, right? Right there. Okay. And then under that, you have another period of structure. So one of those two places probably is where it's going to stop at this particular point. So what do you do next? The next thing is, let's take a look at this price bar and see what kind of measuring move is expected. And look at that, right down to the lower structure. So my guess is this is coming down to 487-ish. All right, before the end of this move. So maybe a better short than really a better long. Okay, just saying. All right, so that's kind of the deal on that. And that's LLY, Lilly. All right, CE, I'm going to rate that down. That might be a good one for our group for a possible short. Let me just write that down there. Okay, so, all right, so you're down 15%, probably. I mean, maybe you'll get a little bit of a bounce into this area and you can get out. All right. But it doesn't look good. You might just want to get out. All right. Sometimes you got to take your lumps so you don't get bigger lumps. Right. All right. CELH. And you're up 35%. Okay. So you got this one up, that one down, so you can get out of the other one. All right. So let's see what's going on with this one. Okay. Had nice structure down here. Isn't this amazing the way that works? Nice structure down here. Got a pyramid to the upside, a green PTF, so the target would still be above here, like at 98. So that's 100% return. Really, look at that, how that held. Nice, really nicely done. Your first area would have been here. Okay, that did not hold. All right, and it went down a little further to the next structure. All right, so that's kind of where we're at now. Okay, so on the actual daily chart here, one of the things that we do, if you didn't have a PTF here, all right, then this would be our target right here. Okay, the fact that you have a PTF indicates that this is more of a long-term hold, but it may not reach that PTF high for years. Okay, don't forget that's a weekly chart on the far right. So on the daily chart, we've reached a short-term target, which is a retracement zone, and we have two bearish candlesticks and a gap in here. So let's see what happens. And that's, kind of a bullish situation there on the gap. So we may pull back in here and go back into the target zone is what I'm thinking. All right. And if we go below here, then we're heading down from that standpoint. So no PTF to help you on the daily chart, but the PTF's green on the other chart. So I think if you were up 35%, we're probably going to come down maybe to 45, okay, maybe 47. And then we'll have to take a look at it again. But also, too, it could tumble down even further since it's in the short-term target zone. So you got to decide, are you long-term or short-term on this? And only you can decide. Want to buy more? I would not buy more here. Okay, wait until you have a pullback if you want to buy more. And that's nothing wrong with that either. Take advantage of the bearishness that's showing up on the daily chart. Wait for that to pull back, come down, wait for that bearishness to actually occur. That's when you then can consider a possible add-on. Of course, you want to wait for the bearishness to end so you get the best possible price. You'll never do it perfectly, but you can do pretty good. Okay, SERV potential buy here. All right, not much history on this one. All right, tough to get any type of count on this, but there is a green PTF. So that means we're going above 24. We're at 10. So that's a double your money. We're kind of in a channel right now. We got a bearish pyramid. Just so you know, when you have a channel like this, all right, and basically at this point, this is the new low channel. I would not take any pyramids in the channel, okay? Wait for the breakout, all right, or break down. If we break below here, then that means it's probably coming down into this target area here, which is a fair value gap. Otherwise, if it springs up from here, we're going back up. So on this one here, I think I would hold off on this one, okay? Let's see which way it breaks out of that channel first. All right, thanks, Ed. All right, Al, let's see what you got here. INTC, a little intel here, huh? All right, long. Let's see what we got. It's gotten a little bit of negative publicity with the owner of the company, or the CEO, not the owner, CEO, allegedly having ties to China. So let's see what that's the latest, at least I've read lately on that. All right, red PTF on that, so kind of kills the long position idea. Also, too, here, let's see what we got cooking on here. Took out equity here. Looks like it's not done yet. We got equity down here. All right, and the problem is, what I would do with this one is, as a possible target, we're looking at maybe under $10 or an area. If it gets under, so they may go for this equity way down here at this point, and that would be a great buy. You're getting into the buy territory. Now, sometimes on these measuring bars, we only go halfway down. Depends where the equity is. Depends on what they're doing here. So I would say, maybe another 5 points, and you can start looking for a buying opportunity. And the PTF should be yellow by then on the daily chart. All right, Al's got one more here, SYY. Let's check out that bad boy. All right, long. Hopefully you're long already. All right. So PTF calling for a high here of 82, and we're at 80. Let's see what this one is saying over here. Short term is the same. It's too late to get in. Okay, that's the way I look at it. It's too late. All right, let's keep going here. All right, PPL. PPL. And you are long on this one, question mark. All right, so at least this one you have a PTF high at 36.98. So that has good probabilities. Messy weekly chart. That's just kind of messy. All right. The trend is been underway on the weekly chart for quite some time, right? I think we broke out, made a new high there. So we can take a trend line and we'll wrap it right across there. So on the weekly chart here, I think you can find a better opportunity. We'll probably get one more push up and get above here. So let's do a fib extension to see what the possibilities are on this. And you're talking 37 to 38. And what's it at 36? I don't think it's worth it. Okay. All right, let's move on. Thanks, Al. So hold off on that one. All right. MSTR. That's a good one. You know, I have a couple clients that are heavily invested in the crypto market, and I meet with them once a week on a private basis. And one of the ones we are looking at is this one. And this one here, you want to hold it. The target we feel is going to be 553 to 754 on this. Now, here's the thing, okay? They're holding it for a while, and that's kind of the idea. We had a little pullback in here. It was an ABC correction into the fib target zone on the actual weekly chart. So we're still, the problem with this one is that notice here, we have not had a red owl. You have to have a red owl for the completion of wave 4. So with that said, we may come back down into this target zone, or at least waffle for a little bit into a trading range. Okay, so that needs to get red. So that's the only concern I have with that. Long term, you know, it's in Bitcoin. So long term, we think Bitcoin is going to make another high. So should this, because this is heavily invested in Bitcoin. This company is all about Bitcoin. Okay. So that's the thing with that. But I do feel we'll get up to 553 to 754. We've had a nice pullback here and here. Okay. And so maybe the answer to this PTF not going red here is that we get one more push up, and that's wave 3. Okay. We're thinking maybe this is wave 3, but maybe it's not. Maybe this will be wave 3. This will be wave 5 and complete the inside waves of wave 3. So that's kind of what we came up with as the final analysis. So you want to be long here. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and add more. I think you can do that. All right. So that is that one. And let's, SOUN. There you go. SOUN. This is another AI stock. Or, well, not another. This is an AI stock. MSTR was more of a Bitcoin play. So on this one here, all right, we like this one. We liked it on the bull flag breakout back here. Okay, you can see I drew that for actually my clients as well. All right, so that was another move up. But now we're at this area of structure up here. So we're seeing a little resistance. But at this point here, it should continue higher. We got a PTF target above 24, I guess, whatever this high is here on the weekly. It's 25, so that's a double your money. So I'd hold it. Okay. All right. Should you add more? I would wait for the pullback. Okay. Let's see what happens with this, because you got a gap here and it could pull back eventually into that gap. Maybe it'll go a little higher, but I don't think it's going to get above this area here before it pulls back. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. All right. So it did breach here. All right. But I kind of would wait for the pullback. I just don't always like to buy breakouts. Okay. And this pyramid here is null and void because prices went below it. So I would wait for the pullback. That's just me. That's my personality. But certainly some people would buy onto this. And I don't think you're going to get hurt if you do it. But you might be able to get a little better price. If you want to add half of your position you're thinking about adding on, do it now and then add the other half when it pulls back. And if by chance it doesn't pull back, at least you got a little bit more added in. All right, there's always a middle of the road type of thing you can do. All right, QUBT, let's take a look at that one. All right, let's see what's cooking with this bad boy. All right, potential buy, good. Let's see, well, we've got a green PTF on the weekly chart, always love that, 27.36, decent profit zone there. Let's just do some preliminary analysis here. Let's draw the fibs in. All right, we got the fibs. We got a wave 4 there on the owl. We don't have the 4 here, so we may still be in 3. On this one, is the pullback over? And we pulled down. We got a fair value gap here. Here's the thing. Again, if you were to draw a trend line, you'd have it drawn right here like that. If this can get above here, that's a break called a break in structure. In other words, higher highs and higher lows create an area where you can draw a new trend line, right? So you don't have a break in structure yet, all right, technically. A little early to buy, but you're not probably going to get hurt if you bought in here. But the problem is, what if you get another slide down into the fair value gap sitting right here with order block right under it? So you could get another slide down before it does go. So if you're okay with that, you know, put your stop way under here, okay, if you're going to go long. Because you gotta, you know, this is all fair game for a pullback and grabbing some equity and so forth. So keep that in mind. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. All right. I think I'm going to put this one actually on our watch list. So let's keep an eye on that. If you're not trying to time it perfectly, you could go in now. Okay. But just don't be surprised if you pull back a little bit. All right. So that is a potential buy, and it's a good one. Okay. QUBT is a good potential buy. All right. Let's see, alternate coin season. Just so you know, I did a pretty good analysis of the cryptos in general. And I think the correction that we've had is done. All right. So I think we're ready to move up from here. And if you look at most of the cryptos, not just Bitcoin, you'll see that. All right. So let's take a look at FAFRM and see what's cooking. All right. So let's see here. All right. So AFRM long with a question mark. All right. Again, you know, my situation is you've had 4 pyramids in a row. So it's late. Okay. Doesn't mean it can't go higher, but this doesn't fit my cup of tea. And you've got a situation where you get some bearish diversions building into the owl. So, you know, is it going to take out this high? It might. Okay. But it may pull back a bit before it does. So not one of my favorites out. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at AMD. See what we got here. All right. Tech is following AMD perhaps. Okay. So let's see what we got cooking here on AMD. All right. We had a micro channel that we actually drew a while back. Let's get rid of that. All right. So we got a longer term trend there. We had a bullish bar here. We've got an extended owl here for this move up. We got a green PTFs on both time frames. So more highs are coming on this. Let's see, we just took out equity on the weekly chart, and you can see a little bit of rejection off that. We got another equity level here. Usually when you have a micro channel, and I'm referring now to the weekly chart on the right. So when you have a micro channel like this, the odds favor another leg up. Okay, what usually happens, you might get a pullback, but for the most part, a little of this, and then, but this is a micro channel like that is bullish, okay? So I would anticipate another leg up, and then it may come down and search for structure again. So at that particular time, you may have another opportunity for a buy-in if it hasn't taken out its all-time high. So I'm thinking kind of another move up. You had the microstructure here as well, a little bit of a pullback. So we're probably kind of like in a bear flag almost not a bear flag, bull flag right now almost. So I'm thinking one more leg up on this, and then you're going to see another pullback. Okay, so keep that in mind. So yeah, bullish on this. I don't think I'd recommend it as a buy. I'd rather let it take the next leg up, take out this equity here, probably is where it's going, and then pull back and look for a buy there. But I don't think you'd get hurt longer term if you bought in here. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got cooking here. All right, ready to short. Let's see what we got here. Ready to short MCL. Okay, that's a futures market. Okay, so that's that. CSCO. Let's take a look at Cisco here for John. All right. Let's see what we got cooking on this one. So I don't know if you're already long or just entering an in, but a long position here is definitely chasing this market. Okay. I like to be a little more methodical in how I just want to enter. I don't want to do the FOMO, fear of missing out. That usually ends up bad. Okay. So yes, it's in an uptrend. Yes, it probably will go higher, but this is not a good place to get in. And unless you're going to hold this thing for, years. Long-term investments are different than trying to time this on a trading environment, like what we talk about here. So just keep that in mind. All right. Let's take a look at FTK. Probably the best strategy for long-term investments is dollar cost averaging in. Okay. All right. So let's just see what we got here. In other words, each month, you drip in a little bit of money each month. So on a pullback, you get the advantage of the pullback as well. All right, FTK, you're long here, Lowell. How are you? Okay, not a bad place to be long. Okay, it looks like, before I say that, let me just do a quick analysis of this. We got a huge fair value gap here. This is a tough one because when the fair value gaps are this big, you don't know if they're going to just touch it sometimes or, dig into it, so to speak. You definitely got structure down here in the order block, right? So if you, on the weekly chart, and then I'll shift over a little bit, but on the weekly chart here, got quite a number of price bars here. So you kind of pulled out of that, but we don't have a new trend even on the daily chart yet, all right? And you have a red PTF here. So the next thing I want to do here is just figure out on this move up, you hit that nicely. I mean, certainly a long trade makes sense here. It's not without the possibility of it reversing at some point and going a little bit lower into that fair value gap. So we got to be careful of that. But usually when you have that many fair value gaps, okay, it's usually bullish. So I'm thinking on this one here, yeah, you could certainly take it. Where would you put your stop? Well, you could put your stop under here, all right, or under the fib retracement area. Okay, so FTK is showing the signs of that. What I kind of like to see is a pyramid forming in this move up. And the only way you're going to get that is if you have a pullback and another surge up. You may get one forming in here, okay? So again, pullback, bottom hold, and then a resurgence. That's a buy. Okay. So I would put this on the watch list for now until we get that pattern into it and leave it at that. All right. So that's kind of my analysis on that one. All right. SJT long. Okay. But I think you're already long on that one. So just stay with it. All right. So on this one here, I don't know if you're thinking of long or you're currently long, but I'm going to assume you're long on this one. All right, so now you're in a channel. Okay, you had a fairly good size move up. All right, you're in a channel and you have no PTF help because they're all yellow. That's neutral. And so let's take a look and see what we have here on the longer term chart. Okay, so is this a new move to a high, or is this going up into a consolidation with a new move lower? This already retraced too much to be a wave 4 on this configuration. We've had a big move down since 2010, which is kind of interesting considering the rest of the market's been moving up. All right, so pyramids have you long here. Pyramids had you long a little bit earlier, but now you would have been out. So not crazy about it, okay? All right, I would pass on that, but that's just me, okay? I don't know anything about the company either. All right, WOR. Okay, so this one. All right, so this one, bearish price bar took out equity up here. Oh boy. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, but there is a green PTF there. So that was the reaction when we hit the top of that. You're still in the premium area. Here's my general thoughts, and I use this when I'm day trading too. You've had the big move up, right? There's the high, there's the low. As a general rule, unless I have a really good reason, I don't want to be buying above the 50% mark, okay? This is called the premium area. This is the discount area. All right, and you can put VWAP on there in the whole 9 yards. But the idea is that in this particular point, the trade is a little more risky because the institutions are usually selling here. All right, they bought down here in the order blocks. Okay, so they're selling up here. So you got a little bit of that to be concerned about. Also, too, you may get a rise right up into this area here. I've seen that 100 times. Comes up here, shakes people out, and then takes a dive. So for that reason, no long on that. Look for a more certain setup. I know the PTF's green, but I don't like the price structure on it for right now. Doesn't mean it can't go higher. It certainly could, but I don't like it. All right, WOR. Okay, hold on one second. Let me find where you were. Okay. So, Stu, back with Nike. Stu, I hope you own a pair of Nikes because you look at Nike a lot. You should be a Nike owner. I can't wear Nikes. My foot's too wide for Nikes. All right, so let's see what we got here. Long downtrend here. All right. Fib retracement area for sure reached there. Took out equity here. But we even went lower than the COVID low, okay? That's what I think is going to happen in the stock market at some point. It's going to pull back here, probably to the COVID lows. All right, so if you're long here, I would not buy anymore. You're already come up quite a bit on this. So you got to ask yourself, there's no PTF help, all right? Is this a long-term investment? If so, just leave it alone. You've had a nice retracement. If I'm trading this, I'd probably wait for a pullback into the gap area and see how it looks. Okay. AL, NEE. Take a look at that one. All right. I don't think we did this one already. And if we did, then my memory is getting as good as yours, right? All right. So in any case, messy. Okay. I wouldn't do it. All right, so Al saying the reason why he wants to look at this is hit an uptrend channel. Okay. Not sure exactly what that means. Certainly hit a trend line. Okay, bottom of the trend line. So maybe that's it. Okay, there it is. Okay, hit the lower trend line, broke above the trend line. Okay, so that's why it's thinking of a long position. But look at the weekly chart. It's in a range. Okay, it broke out and back in the range. I don't like to trade ranges on any time frame. So I would kind of, Al, I think I would not do this one if it was me. Okay. All right. MD long term. Let's take a look at that. All right, so long term, all right, you had a nice move off the bottom here. So this is a good one for a long-term situation because look how much it's come down already. All right. So you've got, let's see if it attempted to take out equity here. It did. That's a good sign. So let's just open this up. So we took out equity here. Let me just draw a line here at the bottom. All right. That's really good. Notice the reaction, right? Boom. Notice how great the pyramids did on the way down too. So now they've got you along here. You'll be out a little bit here. You would have taken profits here. So let's see what happens here. You've got a situation where you got a bullish fair value gap there. You moved up off that. I'm thinking long term, yes. Okay, MD, but you know, long term, like maybe a year. Okay, not a year, a couple of years. All right, so keep that in mind. All right. All right. Yes, Frank, I know. Hey, how are you doing? No, it's you. All right. So KTOS, let's take a look at KTOS. KTOS and long. All right. Well, long is good, but getting in long here, you're chasing the market. That's a FOMO trade here. All right. Look how many pyramids you have. You're going to get a pullback. Wait for the pullback. Yeah, probably will go a little higher before you get that. But you know, unless you're, you know, like, well, I want this long term, so you know, I'll buy in here. I don't care if it comes back to 45 or 40. I'll buy more there. Okay, fine. Then you can buy it and hold on to it as a long term investment. But as traders, okay, I don't like chasing those. All right, let's see. We're getting close to wrapping it up here. We're almost on a time limit here. All right, John, Apple. Let's take a look at Apple. I just went to the Apple store yesterday. My son dropped some coin for a brand new Mac Pro for school, so that was kind of cool. Great store, by the way. We had an awesome time. We also tried on their, you know, their new eye goggle things. That was pretty cool too. All right, so I wouldn't buy one of those, but they're cool. All right, so here we have. I don't know if you're thinking of a long, but the red PTF keeps me out of a long, and I wouldn't short it right now until we see this push up come to an end. And we're right at structure here, so this is kind of an interesting area. Let's see, that seems to be right teetering on trying to break out of that structure. You have bearish fair value gaps here as well. So that combined with a, let me draw that good, with a red PTF, I probably would not chase this right now. And this is what happens is they create these really good looking price bars for one or two price bars to suck everybody in, and then it reverses. And don't think that doesn't happen on purpose, because it does. All right, so let's see what else here we got here. I think that's it. We've come to an end. All right, so good session today. All right, I hope everybody's doing well out there. Let me put the cam back on just to wish everybody a good week. And for today, I guess Lily, LLY for a short position, and MD from Frank for a long-term position. And that's about it. So we're going to have to see how the market does here in terms of searching for some stability for it to try to make one more high, which I expect to happen. But we're getting on towards the end of summer. So as I said, we're getting closer and closer to a top, I think, here in the overall markets. And we do have a double top with a bearish head and shoulders. So we got to kind of keep eyes on things. All right, so listen, have a great one. Hey, support the channel. Let me put that link back up right now for you guys. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that here. All right, there you go. I put a link up there. That's to our MOR report, and we have that specially priced for everybody. But it helps the channel out. Give us a like. That also helps the channel out. And then we'll see you back here next week, okay? Good job, everybody, today. Have a good one. I'll put some music on and then close the room in just a bit. All right, so I'll see you guys later.